When I left corporations, early 1990s, I found myself in the high deserts of northern New Mexico, where I live today. A beautiful part of the world. And during that time, it was one of the worst droughts in recorded history in the American desert Southwest. And a native friend called me one day and he said, "Greg, would you like to join me at a place," and I love this language, he said, "a place where the skin between the worlds is really thin, to pray rain." And he didn't have to ask me twice. I said, "You bet." So we met at an agreed location. We hiked 135,000 acres of the most beautiful high desert sage. We came to a stone circle that had been there for so long, he didn't even know who had placed the stones there before him. And I wasn't prepared for what I saw, because my friend David took his old work shoes off. He put his naked feet inside of this circle. And he closed his eyes, and the first thing he did was he honored all of his ancestors. He literally said the words. He said, all of my ancestors are with me now, are with me now. About 20 seconds later, he looked at me and I said, "I'm hungry. You want to go get a bite to eat?" And I said, well, sure, but I said, "I thought you were going to pray for rain." And he looked at me and he said, "No." He said, "If I prayed for rain, rain could never happen. Because the moment we pray for something to occur, we've just implied, we've acknowledged it's not there now, and we may be empowering the very condition that we'd like to change." And I said, "If you didn't just pray for rain in those 20 seconds, what did you do?" And he said, "When I closed my eyes," he said, "I felt the feeling of what it feels like to stand with my feet naked in the mud in our Pueblo village, and the mud's there because there's been so much rain." And he said, "I smelled the smells of what it smells like when the rain falls off the earthen walls of our Pueblo village. And I felt the feeling of what it feels like to run through the fields of corn, and the corn is there and it's so high because there's been so much rain." He said, "I gave thanks of gratitude and appreciation for the rain that's already happened." I was diagnosed with a condition inside of my body where a doctor told me that something was growing, a cancerous tumor that shouldn't be there. And I trusted the medical system, because that's our culture, that's the way we're raised. And there's a part of us that says, even if I go the holistic route, I'm going to let a medical person tell me what's going on, just for that validation. So it was my opportunity to put into practice everything that I ever learned. And rather than concentrating on something that should not be in my body, I began feeling that my body was vital and healthy, rather than focusing on making something change. However, through the influence of family and friends, I underwent a medical procedure anyway. I went into the operating room, I was anesthetized, and the next thing I remember, I woke up, and there was the doctor looking at me, and he said, "What are you doing here? There's nothing there." All I'd done were the practices and the principles that I'd traveled halfway around the world to learn, and I employed it in my own life, and it worked in that moment. I have the photographs showing there's nothing in my body. I was anesthetized, and they did an exploratory for no reason at all. Because of that, I can speak with conviction. I can look anyone, a scientist, a doubting audience member, and I can look them in the eye with conviction and say, this is what I know to be true in my life, that there's a power inside of your body. The ancients say it's the most powerful force in the universe. The philosopher Neville, early in the 20th century, said that there's a power inside of every human against which no earthly force is of the slightest consequence.